I'm like already sweating. I haven't even started doing anything yet. Already sweating. Good start. Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Twiggy. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I am starting a new series on my channel, which is Twiggy versus the Great British Baking Show. I have been mildly obsessed with this show. It's on Netflix if you haven't seen it. And they recently released Great British Baking Class with Mary Berry and Paul Hollywood, where they kind of walk you through everything and show you how to make these desserts. I thought it would be cool for me to attempt to make one of them and film it for you guys, because this could all go terribly wrong. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a baker. I am just gonna jump into this. I'm going to show you guys how I'm doing everything with the help of my friends Mary Berry and Paul Hollywood. There is a lot to this bake. We are making a PRINSESSTÅRTA or torte. I have no idea. It is Swedish for princess cake. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm so nervous right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, I am sweating so much, but let's do this. Let's get started. So the first thing we're making is vanilla custard. Exciting. You're gonna need a little scale. I luckily have one because I did hair. I have set it to ounces because we are gonna need 20 ounces of milk. Looks like over a cup is 10 ounces, so that's half. We are gonna pour that into a pan that I have on the stovetop. Awesome. Once again, adding this to the pan on the stovetop. Now we need a vanilla bean. These are surprisingly difficult to come by. They had some at Walmart and they also had some at a local grocery store by my house. But dear God, these things are so expensive. $4 for one vanilla bean. Why? And at Walmart, they were $5. Mary is telling us to scrape out this bean and also add the whole bean to the milk. Already difficult. I'm scraping it off with a knife to get as much as I can off of this thing. Taking this and putting it into the milk mixture. Oh God, this is so precious. There we go. So I kind of feel like I scraped about as much as I am gonna get off of the bean. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw that into our mixture. And I'm just adding that whole pot in there. Before I start that from heating up, because I don't know how long it's gonna take and I don't wanna ruin that, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next part, which is separating 6 egg yolks. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5, and 6. All right, so now we need 100 grams of castor sugar. This was actually impossible to find, so I had to order this online. We need 100 grams. There we go, 100 grams, which is almost about half a cup. So half a cup, and then we also need 50 grams of corn flour. I couldn't find corn flour anywhere, but I read online that cornstarch is supposed to be the same thing. So dear God, here's hoping. There we go, 50 grams of corn flour, or as we call it in the US, cornstarch. All right, and then she says to combine this with the egg yolks. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in our mixing bowl. Okay, so egg yolks are going in. Ew, gross. Then we're mixing in our castor sugar and corn flour mixture. So Mary says to beat these on fast speed to get a bit of volume going, whatever the fuck that means. I have no idea what's right and what's wrong. Oh my God. Okay, so I've been beating this for maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, not that long. It's holding, like if you were to ribbon it on top, it is showing up and holding that for a couple of seconds, which I think is right where I want it. So I'm going to stop. My vanilla bean milk mixture is still heating up. They say to get that simmering before I combine the two, so I'm gonna give that a little bit more time on the heat. So I am going to fish out my vanilla bean pod. There he is. It says you can save this for making other things later. I don't really know if I'm gonna need it. The next step is to pour this into that. Mary does it while it's beating, so let's do it her way. Okay, my Mine definitely has a foam to it that Mary's did not have, so oh god. She says just to add this back to the pan, and we have to cook off the cornstarch now, or corn flour. I feel like it shouldn't be foamy, but here we go. Mary says we need to thicken this guy up. I have no idea why it's so foamy, but that's making me really nervous. I'm definitely getting thicker. I decided to whisk it instead of stirring it, and as I'm whisking it, the bubbles have definitely gone away. So now it's definitely thickening up. This is looking so much better, thank God. This is kind of the glue that's gonna hold the cake together, so I don't want this to not be thick enough. Our next step is adding in 50 grams of butter. I have taken the opportunity to go ahead and melt this, so I am just gonna pour this all in and combine it. Okay, so now that the butter is incorporated and our mixture is nice and thick, I think I've made creme pâtissière. I think this is it. So the next step is to pour it into a bowl and let it chill. There we have it, vanilla custard, or as the Brits call it, creme pâtissière. I'm going to cover it with aluminum foil and make it kind of touch the top of this so it doesn't form a skin. Next step is making our raspberry jam. We are going to need 200 grams of raspberries. 200 grams of raspberries. I'm gonna pour this into a pot. Okay, then we're gonna need 175 grams of jam sugar. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't feel like buying jam sugar, so I talked to a couple of my coworkers and they said I could just use the usual stuff, so that is what I'm doing. Once again, I'm just gonna throw this on top of the raspberries into the pan. Heat gently until the sugar has melted and the fruit has softened. So that is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna stand here and move this around until that happens. And I'm also kind of smushing these raspberries down because I live in fear that I'm gonna burn this sugar. So I wanna give it just a little bit more moisture to work with. The thing about baking is it kind of just cracks me up now when people are looking into the sugar content in jam and they're like, oh wow, that has a lot of sugar. And I'm just like, do you know what jam is? It's been probably about, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes. All the sugar seems like it's completely dissolved. So our next step is adding in 2 tablespoons of water and bringing to a vigorous boil. Directions tell you to let it boil until it is a jam consistency. So basically we're just waiting for this to thicken up. The jam is definitely thickening up quite nicely. I'm gonna transfer this into a bowl. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, my jam came out really, really, really thick, like candy thick. Probably gonna remake my jam in a minute, but first let's move on to the cake portion. Okay, so we are going to need 150 grams of caster sugar. I'm preheating my oven to 320 degrees right now. And we are also going to add 4 large eggs to the mixture. I tell you to whisk this mixture together. I don't really think they get too specific on how long I'm supposed to beat this, so here we go. That'll do it. They look like they are pretty well incorporated now. Now we are going to need 75 grams of corn flour. Once again, hope that they mean cornstarch. And then 75 grams of conventional flour. Mary says we need to whisk this into a foam now. So I'm gonna beat this just a little bit longer. While that's beating, we need 1 teaspoon of baking soda, or excuse me, baking powder. This is half a teaspoon, so I'm gonna put 2 in there. This needs to be as thick as to where it's leaving a slight impression, but then quickly disappearing, which I believe it's at right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop it. We need to sift these dry ingredients in. I didn't have a sifter, so I bought this guy, and I'm just gonna do it little by little to incorporate these ingredients in here. While I have got about half of that mixture in there, we're going to incorporate it. Mary says to go around the bowl and then cut through the center, so that is how I am going to do it. Apparently it is important to not do this too quickly and not incorporate it too much. That is definitely being incorporated in quite nicely, if I do say so myself. I'm just gonna try and incorporate the rest of this dry mixture. Kind of think this is good. I'm gonna stop now. They say to add the butter when it is cool, so it is melted, but it has cooled. It's been sitting at room temperature this entire time. There we go, 50 grams. I poured the butter in and now I'm just incorporating it in the same way, mixing it around and then cutting through the center. And I think this looks pretty good. You're gonna wanna keep as many air bubbles as you can inside of there. Now I'm taking my 9-inch pan, which I've lined with parchment paper thanks to my amazing husband. And I've also sprayed it down with nonstick oil so none of this would stick to it, and I'm gonna pour it all in there. Just between y'all and me, I have never used parchment paper before, so this is a definite first for me. I hope I'm using it correctly. There are some little wrinkles in my parchment paper, so it's probably not gonna be the most even baked outline ever. I'm okay with that. We're gonna throw it into the oven now, and they said it should take 25 to 30 minutes to bake. While my sponge is in the oven, I'm taking the liberty of remaking my jam because it just turned out way too thick. This is like hardcore candy almost. I kind of want to make candy out of this for my coworkers, but yeah, there's no way that's jam. So remaking that guy. I've remade my jam. It is a lot more liquidous this time, so I'm gonna set that in the fridge. Now we are going to move on to our fondant rose. I got this at Walmart. You can get fondant now at Walmart, which is great. And basically what I'm going to do is just pinch off a hunk of this if I can. I'm gonna start with smaller pieces than I think I need. We're gonna roll these up, roll them up into a ball, and then flatten it down. And then I'm going to kind of circle it around itself, and that is going to be the center of our rose. Then I'm basically gonna continue to make little balls and petals. So made another ball, gonna flatten that down. This is gonna be a petal, so I'm gonna just kind of work it around and roll it right into there. There we go, first petal down. Flattening it down, then I'm slightly overlapping and then just rolling it around. There we go, easier than I thought it would be. And we're gonna continue doing this obviously until we have a rose. I am pretty damn satisfied with that. For someone who's never worked with fondant before in their life, I think this looks great. My timer for the oven's going off, so I'm gonna stick this in the freezer and check on my cake. This has been cooking at 320 degrees for 25 minutes now. I'm just gonna try and see if I can test and see if it's baked on the inside. Definitely, my cake did not rise nearly as much as Mary Berry's did. I have no idea how on freaking earth I'm gonna cut this into 3 pieces. I really don't see that happening. I'm probably gonna end up doing 2 layers, not 3. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop it out of its form and let it totally cool off. For real though, I will be lucky if I can cut this into 2 layers. Holy moly. Just moved my cake off of the off of the baking thing onto a cooling rack. This is so thin. I do not think this cake is supposed to be that thin. I definitely think it should have risen a lot more. As much as I would like to stand here and cry about how my cake didn't rise, we're gonna keep moving forward. I'm gonna go ahead and make the marzipan. Have to start out with 400 grams of ground almonds. I got this at Trader Joe's. It's called Just Almond Meal. I hope this is what I need because there's also almond flour, but who really knows, right? Seems about 1 cup is about 100 grams. Okay, then we need 150 grams of castor sugar. Okay, 150 grams of castor sugar, done. Okay, we need 250 grams of icing sugar, which in America we call powdered sugar. Okay, so that's 130 grams. Okay, sifting that powdered sugar took so long, I would now like to die. But I can't because I gotta finish making this. So I gotta add 2 beaten eggs into here. Bam. And then a teaspoon of almond extract. Once again, this is half a teaspoon, so I'm going to add 2, obviously. Okay, and then Mary says to work it until everything is incorporated. Okay. Not quite too sure that this is the ideal attachment to use for this. Seems like everything's just kind of clumping together, so I'm gonna continue mixing this by hand. Yeah, this is much easier to do by hand, so I'm just gonna work it all together for a couple of minutes. Quite the workout, may I say. Okay, so we are going to be coloring this green. It specifically said not to use liquid food coloring, but this was literally all I could find. I couldn't find cream food coloring. This is what I have. This is how it's gonna be. I'm gonna start with a couple of drops. I don't think that's nearly enough. Maybe that's why they tell you not to use liquid, is because to get it green you're gonna have to use a lot, which could change the consistency, but whatever, here we go. I'm doing it anyways. It's not terribly even, but I'm gonna go ahead and call that good. Here is my sponge cake that obviously has not risen a lot at all. I think what I've decided is I'm gonna cut this into 2 pieces instead of 3, because 3 just seems absolutely impossible, and I feel like I'll be lucky if I can cut this into 2 pieces evenly. Okay, so I am gonna start. You know what, I mean, I don't know what I'm really doing, so. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, so I got 2 layers by some miracle. Holy crap, that's dense. Something definitely went wrong here. It is very dense. Okay, so I'm gonna put this to the side for now because we need to make our whipped cream. Now we are going to make our whipped cream, which we are gonna decorate with. I needed much more than I bought. Go figure, right? My life. So I'm just gonna use this whole thing since I needed about double of it. I mean, I never thought I'd be saying this, but luckily my cake didn't rise, so maybe I won't need all that whipping cream. Here's hoping. That's what I'm gonna try and do. Don't want to beat it too much, because Mary says if you go too far, you'll have butter. And I think that's it. I would call that whipped cream. That definitely looks like the consistency of whipped cream. It's acting exactly how Cool Whip acts, so I'm gonna go ahead and say this is it. I've put my cake onto a little plate. I am grabbing my jam out of the fridge, which looks like it has set, but it is not rock solid like my last jam, so this is much better. And also my creme pâtissière. Remember this guy? I barely do at this point. I don't really know if it's supposed to be acting like that. That's kind of odd to me, but whatever. We are totally gonna go with it. First step is to take some creme pâte or creme pâtissière, whatever you feel like calling it, and spread a thin layer over the entire base of the cake. That looks about right to me. I have just assembled my piping bag. I've never used this before in my entire life. And I am going to put some creme pâte into here so we can pipe a little border around the edge of this guy. So we're just gonna pipe a big, kind of like a big wall around the border, and this is what's gonna keep our jam from kind of slipping everywhere. So that looks sufficient. I think that can hold the jam pretty well. All right, and then with that same spreading knife, I'm just gonna take my jam and I am gonna spread it within these walls. And I am gonna try and make this as thick as possible to compensate for the fact that it is a 2-layer cake, not a 3. This is definitely not as easy as it seems on TV. Who would have thought? I'm not really upset with that. That looks pretty good. I am just gonna pick up some whipped cream and scoop it on in there. And then I'm going to just mix and incorporate the two, hoping that they mix. Please be friends, please be friends, please be friends. So we're gonna take this mixture and spread it over this as best as I can, trying to kind of make a lid, I guess. I mean, that's how I'm gonna refer to it, is like a little top that we're putting on this guy. We're gonna put the top on it, which is the final layer, because as I've stated, I only have the 2 layers, so there we go. Okay, the top is on. Oh my gosh, so scary. I did it, kind of. Since this is my top layer, we are going to treat it as such. I'm going to cover the entire top with all of the rest of my creme pâtissière, as well as try and coat the outside of it. Okay, then it says to pile the rest on top and shape it like a dome. I don't really know about that. I don't really know that I have enough to do that. So I'm gonna add a little more whipped cream into the mix because that's what I've got. Mix those guys together and then dump this all onto the top and try to make a dome the best I can. Okay, so I'm thinking I should stop now. That's about as dome-like as I can get it. I'm gonna let this sit in the fridge for, I don't know, maybe like a half hour. I'm gonna try and roll out my marzipan to be a nice, flat, thin layer, but we'll see what actually happens. Falling it back up. So they had said on the show that you can use a string to measure the top of your cake and then use that to figure out how much marzipan you need. But since I ended up with such a small cake, I'm figuring this method should be fine, just rolling it out as flat as I can. Slash as flat as my husband can. I'm gonna attempt to roll this up onto my rolling pin. A little horrifying because I've never done this. Oh my lord.
Great.
What? Whew.
Nothing. Just
Oh my god, marzipan! Oh my god, I did it! Yes! This doesn't look half bad. It's cracking in a couple of places, but I honestly don't care at all. That does not bother me. So I'm just gonna go and cut around the base of it, cutting off all the excess. Now I have my whipped cream in a piping bag and I'm going to attempt to pipe little roses along the whole perimeter. Ooh, hello. The final step to decorating this is adding in my fondant rose that I've made and then drizzling some dark chocolate on top. They say to do basically whatever you want on top, so I'm just gonna do some chocolate drizzles. Seems like a better method. I should have done it this way. Oh well. It's not the neatest job in the world. I don't think Mary Berry would be too impressed by that, but I am, so. Alright, and the last and final step is adding in my little baby rose fondant that I made earlier. I am just going to make a little hole into the top of this cake and pop that sucker in there. There we go. Oh my god, you guys, there it is. I made a PRINSESSTÅRTA. Or however the F you pronounce it. It means princess cake. Now has come the part that I'm kind of dreading because I hope it looks as pretty as it does right now forever. Obviously that's not really maintainable though, so I am going to cut it. Oh, I'm nervous. I'm super nervous. Oh god, oh god.
Is that the knife you're gonna use?
Should I not?
I don't know.
Should I not be using this knife? Oh, I'm nervous. Like butter, he says. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so terrified right now. Okay, okay, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, this is a giant piece because I'm bad at this and also incredibly nervous. Oh lord, oh lord. Woo!
Wow.
Woo, there she is. Hello, princess cake.
tasty.
Hell yeah, I made a princess cake. That is what the inside of my princess cake looks like. Oh, she's beautiful. Look at that. Look at those layers and the jam and look how beautiful she is. She's sliding just a little bit, but that's okay. We don't judge over here. Oh my god, she's beautiful. I can't believe I made it. I made a princess cake. Moment of truth. I'm gonna try it. Oh god. Oh god. Oh geez. Let's get a little bit of the jam in there too. Cheers. Here's to me. Whoa. Oh, there's so many flavors happening in my mouth. Oh my gosh. It's actually all really good. I think I like the jam the most. The raspberry jam's my shit. This is great, and also I'm admitting this to you guys. This is the only thing I've ate today so far, and it's like 5 o'clock. Wow, I can't believe it. Am I actually done with this video? Wow. So that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. But the outcome is awesome. I'm really proud of myself. Even though my cake didn't rise, whatever, it still turned out amazing. It was really, really good. It was incredibly hard to make. I spent a ton of money on ingredients for this and the right pans and stuff like that to make this cake. So it's definitely a labor of love, but yeah, I definitely think I'm gonna continue this series and do more in the future. If you watch the Great British Baking Show, please leave any and all recommendations for bakes for me down below. I would love to hear what you guys wanna see. As per usual, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you wanna subscribe to my channel, I put out new videos every single Wednesday, and I hope to be making another video like this very soon. I think I'm gonna go and feed my husband a piece of cake now. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye guys.